At 61, Jamie Lee Curtis is still the bomb. Jamie Lee Curtis was born in Hollywood to Janet Leigh, the renowned star of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, and Tony Curtis, an actor whose career spans 6 decades. But Jamie's career is unique, with parts ranging from classic rom-coms to adult tragedies. She's just won her first Academy Award for the 7-nominated picture Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, demonstrating her versatility and timelessness. Let's look at Jamie Lee Curtis's life. Horror films were in her blood. While Jamie Lee Curtis rose to prominence as a result of her iconic performance in John Carpenter's Halloween, she was not the only lady in her family to appear in a horror film. Her mother, Janet Leigh, is still remembered as one of the most iconic horror actors of all time for her performance in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Janet Leigh was cast in the role shortly after Curtis was born in 1960. Though her role was minor in comparison to Anthony Perkins, her shower scene got a Golden Globe Award as well as an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Dear Old Dad was also a star. Talent flowed in both families, since father Tony Curtis was a great celebrity in the 1950s, appearing in over 100 films. When you examine the acting ability of both father and daughter, one might argue that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Both have been successful portraying roles ranging from lighter comedies to heavy tragedies throughout their careers. Tony Curtis, like Janet Leigh, portrayed one of the most famous parts shortly after the birth of his daughter. Tony Curtis co-starred in the 1959 picture Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe. The film was a smash hit, and the American Film Institute dubbed it the funniest American film ever made. Everyone expected her sister to be the successful one. Jamie Lee Curtis rose to prominence as one of Hollywood's most famous actresses, but her family and friends expected her older sister to be the cinematic legend. Kelly Lee Curtis, after all, began her career as a child in 1958. Kelly Lee Curtis made her film debut as a little kid in The Vikings with her parents, Kirk Douglas and Ernest Borgnine. She studied acting at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute and always played supporting roles. She was an actress in her own right, although she was never as well known as her younger sister. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Curtis returned to Hollywood with the biggest blockbuster of 22, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Curtis portrayed the character's alternate universe analogs as well as tax inspector. Jamie received multiple award nominations for her performance, including her first Academy Award nomination and one for Best Supporting Actress. She earned a standing ovation for her victory. In her victory speech, she praised the hundreds of people who had helped her career get to this point, including her co-star and fellow Oscar winner for the film, My Bae, Michelle Yeoh. And of course, she didn't forget to honor her late parents as she emotionally gazed up into the sky and said, "I just won an Oscar," while hugging the prize to her bosom and bowed before walking off stage. A painful and public separation. Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh filed for divorce in 1962, as did many other Hollywood marriages. Because of their celebrity, their breakup was highly publicized, making the situation harder, more stressful, and agonizing for everyone involved. The couple had 2 daughters, Jamie Lee and Kelly, who lived with their mother at the time of their divorce. According to Jamie Lee, the custody choice was uncomplicated because her father was rarely active with the family following the divorce. Later in life, when she was questioned, she remarked matter-of-factly about Tony Curtis that he was not interested in being a father. A multitude of siblings. Tony Curtis is a ladies' guy. After all, he's been married 6 times. 3 of these 6 marriages produced offspring, giving Jamie Lee Curtis 1 full-blood sister and 4 half-siblings. Jamie Lee and Kelly were born from Curtis's marriage to Janet Leigh. He married his German co-star Christine Kaufmann in 1963, and they had 2 daughters, Alexandra and Allegra. Tony divorced Leslie Allen the same year they divorced. Nicholas and Benjamin, the couple's 2 sons, were born. The siblings, like other families, have their disagreements from time to time, but when everything is said and done, they're close as thieves. College was more challenging than she thought. Though Jamie Lee aspired to be a lawyer, she found education to be more difficult than she was used to, and she began to reconsider her future. Jamie acknowledged to Good Housekeeping magazine about that point in her life, "I was studying corrections at the University of the Pacific. I was a lousy student. School had just overlooked me. I was probably learning something I wasn't aware of. I had a D+, and I was a party girl." On to a new destiny. Curtis struggled with her new life at the University of the Pacific, and it became evident that this was not the place where she would find success. She chose to take a different path and returned to Los Angeles to pursue a career in acting. Curtis returned home after only a year and a half of college. She understood she couldn't rely on anybody else to get her acting career started, so she had to rely exclusively on her own ability and persistence. She had no idea her first break would come sooner rather than later. She lands an audition. Curtis, now a new face on the Hollywood stage, followed in the footsteps of other aspiring actors in town and engaged an agent to help her schedule auditions. Her agent worked quickly and found Curtis a job for which she was ideal. She was to audition for the character of Nancy Drew in a new television series. She did audition, but the producers didn't believe she was a perfect fit for the position. Curtis realized that being a working actor would require much more than depending on her renowned Hollywood name. She had no idea that she was about to face much more rejection. The future star gets fired. Jamie Lee gathered herself up after the Nancy Drew incident and continued to attend auditions in hopes of getting her big break. Things started to look better when she learned that a prominent film company, Universal, had given her a 7-year deal. Her expectations were dashed as swiftly as they were boosted when Universal informed her that she'd been sacked. Curtis recounts that point in her life in an interview, stating, "I got fired along with 12 other actors. I was heartbroken. I thought it was the end of the world." An amazing opportunity. Curtis was at the end of her ability to cope with the feeling of crushing rejection when her first major break came her way. She had no idea that getting fired by Universal would turn out to be a gift in disguise, as she would now be a free agent, able to choose whatever project she pleased. It was an excellent time for her and John Carpenter, a young independent director. He was casting for his forthcoming horror picture and believed Jamie Lee would be ideal for the role. She agreed, and the rest, as they say, is history. One of the finest decisions she's ever made. Her first big hit. Curtis stated, "Had I not been fired, I wouldn't have been able to go up for the movie Halloween, which basically gave me the life I have today," while reflecting on the significant impact and subsequent popularity of appearing in John Carpenter's Halloween after being fired from Universal. Jamie Lee Curtis nailed the part of young Laurie Strode, propelling her to fame. The film was so well received by viewers that it quickly became an iconic cult phenomenon. It's not often that an indie film achieves such acclaim. Halloween Kills. 2021. Curtis is back in the spotlight in the film Halloween Kills, nearly 4 decades after her first big break in Halloween. She was approached to play the much older Laurie in a follow-up to the 2018 Halloween. She was even more excited when she learned she'd be working with filmmaker David Gordon Green and producer Jason Blum. "I believe what happened is that Michael is the Phoenix. Michael survived the fire," Curtis stated in a pre-release interview. One thing is certain, Curtis claims that the Halloween film, not her famous parents, pushed her forward. The Paycheck of a Star. What began as a tiny indie film became an instant box office hit. Halloween grossed more than $70 million and was exhibited in theaters all over the world, despite John Carpenter's meager budget of $325,000. Surely, everyone engaged in the film's production, including Curtis, were dancing a happy dance. After all, she was now a well-known celebrity. Despite the enormous success of the picture, Curtis's salary stayed the same at $8,000 for her outstanding performance. An unknown future. Jamie Lee and Kelly remained with their mother following their parents' divorce, and due to their age, attended the same schools. The two began their high school careers at Beverly Hills High School before transferring to a Connecticut institution. Jamie Lee opted to attend her mother's alma mater, the University of the Pacific, for college after graduating. Her major was not the same as her mother's, though. Jamie Lee had opted to become an attorney. The need to change things up. Curtis knew how show business operated and how movie producers thought growing up with 2 movie stars for parents. She was aware that if she continued to work in horror films, she'd be pigeonholed and typecast primarily in such parts. Curtis stated in a 2018 interview, "I felt honored that Halloween was and will be the greatest part of my creative life, but I also grew up in the entertainment industry, and I saw early on that associating myself with a single genre would be confining." The honor of recognition. Jamie Lee Curtis was always regarded as the scream queen in Hollywood. But following her performance in Trading Places, the entertainment industry began to see her in a new light. She'd won their regard as a gifted actress capable of playing roles other than horror films. Trading Places got her a BAFTA, or British Film and Television Award, for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Because the BAFTA is effectively the British equivalent of the Academy Award, even being nominated is an honor, and winning one is a big accomplishment. The film was also nominated in a number of categories.